So how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me here. Yeah.
How have you been since the last time we met?
Been good, but not that good.
So when you talk of not that good,
Yes.
what do you mean?
There's a lot of challenges that for me I'm going through. Like right now, I'm looking for a job, searching for a job. That is the biggest challenge for now.
That's what you told me last time we met when we were starting this session, and you told me that is your biggest challenge. So when you talk of looking for a job being a challenge, what do you mean?
I just finished school, and for me, I thought it will be easier when you have papers. So I started looking for a job, writing CVs, but nothing is coming through. So you sit down, you try to think about it every time, but there's nothing coming out. So that is the biggest challenge, because you need that at least money to do some things around.
For how long have you been looking for a job?
For now, it's going to around 5 months.
5 months. And you already see like it's such a it's a challenge.
Yeah, for me, it's a challenge because for a man to just be at home and being there doing nothing is a big deal. Because right now, you cannot just be idle also.
So when you talk of just being there and being how do you engage yourself? What do you do during the time when you stay at home? What do you usually do?
When I stay at home, mostly sometimes I can help in house chores, or maybe I can go out with friends, maybe to try and see how we can get money, because also there's those little hustles that you can do with friends, but once in a while.
Okay, so it seems you make some little money here and there.
Yeah.
Are you free to tell me what you do as you talk of here and there with friends?
Yeah, sometimes you can get you can be called to help someone, maybe in this events. You can be called in events, maybe help in putting tents, helps in cooking. So once in a while, when they pop out, you can help out.
So from what I'm hearing, your course entails events and cooking and all and the like.
Yeah, that was what I studied for. My course entails all those things. Yeah.
So you have been trying to get a job for 5 months, as I hear from you, and other than trying to get a job and getting these other small things here and there, what else do you engage in? Because you said when you're with friends, you engage in doing small jobs here and there. Anything else that you do?
For now, not a lot. Maybe mostly if I'm not around home, maybe find me in church. That's the maybe places you can get me. Yeah, if I'm not with friends, maybe doing something, you get me in church or at home, just helping where I can. Yeah.
So what kind of things do you do in church? Because what I know, in church you don't go you go to worship on Sundays.
Yeah.
So these other days when you're in church, what do you engage in?
Okay, maybe if you go to church, maybe during other days, can maybe go to practice, maybe singing, or you can even help in washing the church. Yeah, because there are activities that you can help do there. Can help wash the church. Sometimes can go to help the young children when they practice doing their singing. We have a brigade team, so sometimes they also help in teaching the young children. Yeah.
It's encouraging that you keep busy, because for young people, I know when you're not busy, you can engage in things that are not very friendly. So I would really commend you that it's good that you're keeping busy, but your key issue, that's why you are here, is that you feel you need a job.
Yeah.
Kindly tell tell me what you have done as you talk of looking for a job. What is it that you have engaged in? How have you gone about looking for a job?
In looking for a job, mostly for me, what I do is I go to the online sites where there are jobs, like you can get in online, the places where they put jobs where they are looking for people to apply. So when I go there, I can get, then I apply. So that's what I do. I write my CVs, then send. But mostly when you write, you don't get, maybe they don't return maybe something, or they don't even call you. So that is also the bother, that you put your time in writing the CVs, but you don't get they don't call you, and sometimes you feel like maybe you did the wrong thing. Maybe you wrote badly, because when somebody don't even call you, feel like maybe I'm the one who did wrong. So sometimes you blame yourself on not maybe getting the job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you talk of blaming yourself and you try to make reason to think of why probably you are not invited for interview, or why you did get the job. How do you feel when what makes you conclude that probably you wrote the letters wrongly, or you make a conclusion? What drives you to make conclusions when you don't get the job, when you don't get any response?
Okay, when you write more than 3 CVs, none of them is you're being returned. Example, when you write, for you expect maybe for them to write your message or for them to call you. But when you write all of them and none of them being called, because you don't write in the same company, like in the different companies. So you expect if one don't go, one can go. So sometimes you feel like maybe you're the one who did not write the right thing, or you did the wrong thing. Because if you write 3 and they don't return, so you feel like you blame yourself, or maybe feel like maybe there's something wrong with your CV.
So I hear you blame yourself for not getting any responses. But even as you blame yourself for not getting responses, what else have you tried? Because you blame yourself, then you don't just sit. When you blame yourself, as you look at probable reasons why you didn't get these responses, or the jobs, or being invited for interviews, what have you done about it? Because you blame yourself, then definitely you need to work on something else. So what have you done?
Okay, sometimes now when you see that situation, you change the way you do. Like, example, you're the one who sent, so you send the CV to your friend, or even your relatives, or your family member, your mom, or your dad, or your sibling. You tell them, this is my CV. They can check if there's something you wrote wrong. Or even when you're writing, you can tell them to help you. So that, for me, that's what I do. Like I did, or I changed how I write it, but it's still the same. So I asked myself, maybe is it that maybe they don't want you, or what? So sometimes it's a bigger challenge. And also another challenge is when you're going to apply on that job. Yes, for you're applying, but you have seen they are written, they need a 3-year experience, but they need even 5 years experience. So asking yourself, you're out of school, you don't have, yes, maybe you have a little experience, you have gone maybe outside there, tried one or 3, but you are seeing in that paper they have written 5-year experience. Also, that one sometimes can kill that thing of writing, because you're like, okay, am I going to compete with someone who have 5 years experience when you go to interview, or should I just stop writing?
But even as you talk of feeling, I hear you feel discouraged not to continue, but on the other hand, you are looking for a job. So tell me your reasons why you're looking for a job, because when you feel discouraged, it's like you'll stop writing, like you've just said. So what are your reasons for looking for a job?
Okay, for me, my number one reason is so when I was in school, for me, I was like, when I finished school, I want to start a project. So the reason why I want to look for this job and to get money, maybe if I work for 3 years or even 5 years, I can save some money and start a project. And that project can help me to get out of employment and also employ other people. And also depend on my own projects rather than depending on people for employment, because also jobs, you cannot rely on employment fully. Sometimes can be hard, maybe having to work and you're not getting paid full well, or even your salary is getting delayed. So all those are challenges that for me, I put them, even when I'm looking for a job, I've already put them in my mind that if I get a job, I want to save a little to start a project. Yeah.
So in your situation, you are open to, if you get a job, be it, the key thing is getting a job, then generate money to start a project. Do you have the project in mind?
Yeah, I have a project in mind. For me, I love farming, so that is in my mind. So I was thinking that if I start saving, I can start one project, and that one project can give back to many. So I can maybe start with chicken farming, or I can even do rabbits. Yeah.
Oh, that's a very interesting and great ideas that you have. Are you aware that even as you think of projects, you need to have goals? Yes, you need to have your goals, and as you put down your goals, you put goals that you know you can achieve, and goals that are realistic. You don't just come up with goals and bang, you have them. You have to have goals that you can achieve, goals that are realistic, meaning there are things that you can work on with end time, and you also have time frames on how to do those goals. Okay. Yes, so I think as we get to the end, we can look at how you can set your goals and see if you can achieve them as part of this bit of the sessions we are going to have together. Getting back to the job situation, which is you're calling a big challenge. As it is in our country, there are many youngsters like you who are looking for jobs. Some have done bigger courses than yours, and they're also looking for jobs. When you look at yourself, do you feel like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you are desperate? Because at one point you mentioned that you feel like stopping looking at putting across the applications. What do you describe the feeling you have?
For me, right now I feel like desperate for the job, because you are looking at your life, and also you're looking at the age, and you're aging, because you're growing up every day. It's not that you're moving backwards, you're growing up. And also when you're growing up, there's those things that you write down, and you're like, when I reach this time, I want to do this and that. But when you look at your position and you're like, hey, I don't have that money to reach that point, or I have not even gotten that job. So some point it really puts you down because you feel like I want to be there. And also sometimes it's good to look at the positions of your friends also. Sometimes you look at your friends where it's not that you're comparing yourself to them, but you're also trying to figure out if they are doing this, what can I also do? Yeah.
And so when you talk of friends, these are people you've been with in school, or the people like you mentioned you are into church? Are they people you are within church? Are these the kind of friends you're talking about, or the ones you are within school?
I can say both, because the ones who are in school and also the ones who are in church.
And as you look at these friends and the people who surround you, the people you interact with on a daily basis, considering that you are looking for a job, you talked of loving farming. What conversations do you have with friends? Do you have friends who, you mentioned you have friends who also don't have jobs like you, as much as you have the ones with jobs? What are your conversations when you sit as friends? What kind of conversations do you have?
Okay, mostly when we sit down, okay, let me start by maybe my male friends. When we sit down, we tend to think of what will our future be, because sometimes you sit down and you're like, we need to make money, because sometimes when you as men, you're chatting and you're like, if right now we get into a relationship, because you are looking at, sometimes as friends you can sit down and you look at the life of other young people living, and you're like, you don't want to get into that situation where you're married or you have a child and that child cannot even feed, because you're young people and you cannot even feed. And sometimes we sit down and ask ourselves, why is it that men, if they get women pregnant, they jump, they refuse, they say, I'm not the father, they reject the children, and we realize that it's not that they want. Sometimes we find these young men, they don't have even money to feed that child, they don't have a job to stand for that child, so they tend to run away, because they are thinking of, if I say yes to that child, I'm going to parent, I have to take this child to school, because the moment you have a child, that is not, if right now you are renting a house and the landlord comes and tells you you have not paid me rent, you can easily change from the house you are in into a smaller house, like the house that your money fits. But a child, you cannot change a child. You cannot say, oh, this child, I can change them, or if maybe their ears have gone, I can rewind their ears. No, you have to, like, when she is growing or she's growing, you have to also grow, because you have to pay fees, you have to buy shoes. Yeah, so sometimes those are the challenges we talk about. And we tell ourselves we don't want to reach there where we are. We have children, then we are jumping, we are saying, no, that is not my child. So sometimes we put ourselves and say, we need to work hard and have something in our pocket, so that one day when we have ladies in our lives, we don't start lying to them, or we don't start telling them to go and remove their pregnancy, because those are challenges that are there every day.
Interesting conversations that you have as young men. So your focus is on, from what I get, your focus is on sustaining yourselves and extending to sustain the families that you will have. Those are very, very wonderful ideas, so that then you now brings about the issue about being responsible. But what we are focusing on is about the job situation. when you mentioned that you ask your siblings or your parents, the people closest to you, about how to write CVs, do you also look at writing, the letter writing skills? Because there are also formats for writing letters. Have they also assisted you with that?
Yeah.
I also see on the internet a lot about letter writing, CV writing. So you could also think about looking at those ones and comparing with what you have, then now probably improving. Yes. So other than getting jobs, the applications online, are there skills that you have, something that you know that you're passionate about that you can do with your hands? Skills that you have learned, because people learn skills.
Yeah, I have some skills that I can do. Like for me, I love cooking. So cooking is my passion. So I can cook, can do a lot in the kitchen. So yeah, sometimes I get those little jobs of cooking. So it's also something that encourages me to move on.
Have you thought of picking that as a channel and moving with it? Picking the passion you have and just moving with it to see if you can generate some money out of it.
Yeah, I've thought about it. But sometimes also you look at the challenges some people go through, and it makes you not to want to start. Because yes, I have friends around that have started, but when you ask them, they tell you sometimes they don't make profit, they go through losses. So for you as a person who wants to start, when you hear that, sometimes it discourages you to move on, because you feel like, okay, if I want to continue, what can I do that they don't do? For me, I will not enter into losses. Yeah, because for you, you're focusing on to start this. But so and so also started. So because so and so started, you have to go to them and you ask them to give you at least the procedure, or even give you a feedback on, you have been there maybe for 2 months, you've been there for hourly. So how is the experience? Yeah, so when somebody tells you how they go through challenges, you feel like, can I start or can I just leave it?
So what I'm getting from you, I can feel that you have a lot of fear in just stepping out to start. Your biggest fear is stepping out to start because of what you've learned from your friends. And what if you just take a bold step and start based on this is you? This time around, by the time you start, you've listened to them, so you start yours and you know where they fell and you avoid those things. What do you think?
I think I'll try. I'll try to start, because that's a big challenge that sometimes I have, because you want to start something but you're thinking a lot, because also sometimes when you want to start something, you don't have to think of a lot of things. Because for me, I always think of, okay, what if I start and it fails? What if I start and nothing happens? So sometimes it discourages you from starting, and you decide to, okay, let me rely on my papers. Yeah.
You realize that there's a way fear can cause us not to move forward, because from what I hear, there's the way that fear has left you standing at a point without even making a step. So at times, and most often, it's important to start, and as you start, with the belief that you are going to succeed. And you've told me something very encouraging, that you spend your time in church, and with that knowledge, you also know that God has a way of moving with us. When we commit anything to Him, He will enable us to move forward. So how about if you think of put your faith in God and ask God to help you move, then you remove the fear and soldier on. You could think about such things so that you use your skill, you generate money, the money that you're talking about, and as you generate the money, you have a very good plan of moving forward and doing the farming that you think about. So do you have any other goals?
For me, my goals in life is to, okay, for maybe let's put away the farming. I can say my other goal is to see maybe to set maybe a children's home. Because mostly when you walk around, you find for me, I cannot say maybe a children's home, but a place where people can, the street kids can just go and feed. Because when you walk in the streets, you find them struggling, and in the dustbins, they don't have anywhere to feed. And nowadays you cannot even trust everyone, because some people fake. Not everyone is a street person, and not everyone is a disabled. Because when you go to the street, you can sometimes, in our country, it's very hard to recognize a disabled person and someone who is well. So for me, my biggest wish and goal one day is to, maybe I cannot say a children's home, but I can say a setup where I can fund it, or my friends, I can maybe gather around friends. We can fund a place where the street kids can just go there and feed. And maybe if we put a place where they can, after feeding, they can just go and rest. Because you realize when it rains, these young people, sometimes when I board matatus in the night, at night, I see them sleeping just in the streets, maybe in the open places. So maybe if I can put a place where they can just, after eating, they can just go and sleep and have a rest. Because when it rains, these people, they suffer a lot. They don't have places to sleep. Yeah.
That's a very, very great idea. It's a very good view of life. It shows you are really in touch with what is happening around you. And it can also be a job. It can also be a job that you are able, when and like you are talking of, you start small and then you move to the next level. So those are very brilliant ideas, and I really appreciate that you have a heart for people, and your desire is to make a difference in other people's lives, and especially the homeless who are the street children. That's very encouraging. Now, that was just part of the goals that you have, and I appreciate you in that area. When we now get back to the issue about jobs, the other thing that you have you explored, as you look at yourself and as you think through, have you exhausted, because you've told me you've just been looking for a job for 5 months, have you exhausted the thoughts that you'd use to see if you can maybe get to do the projects you're talking about, or get employment? Do you think you have exhausted?
I cannot say I've exhausted, but talking about the projects for me, I think it's not that easy to start without a capital. Because I've been thinking of when we sit down as friends, because also when you look at yourself and you say, I don't have, and you go sit with your friends and you ask them, this is my plan, or this is my thinking, what can you guys tell me about it, or how can we help each other? So when we sit down and we find that we are in the same situation, some of us have jobs, some of my friends have jobs, but some of them don't have. So those ones who have, and also sometimes it discourages you. They tell you it is not well paid. They are not well paid. So the money they get is they pay rent, they get food, and maybe they can help the siblings. So maybe you can find someone who has their siblings around. They want to pay school fees for them, so they rather put little money to pay for their siblings. So you find at the end of the day, they don't have money to spare to maybe say, okay, they've come with a good idea. I have this amount I can put down and we can start. And also when you sit down, you think about, can you go to a bank? Because these ideas that we have, can you go to a bank and come with borrow a loan? But you also sit down and think, okay, we want to start a project, but we don't know that, because you as a human being or even as a person, when you're starting a project, you must know that maybe after 3 months or even 2 months or even 5 years, the business, it will not just pick up once. It will take time. So you cannot say that if I go to a bank right now and tell them I want to start a business and I will pay you guys, if they give you 3 months and you don't pay after 3 months, they can come and take your project. So that's also a discouragement to us as we sit down.
I hear you have a lot of discouragements and a lot of things that you look at. You're looking at them from a point of being discouraged. How about if you get encouragement with all that you've shared with me? Is there even one bit where you get some encouragement? What encourages you, even as you look for a job?
What encourages me is to maybe when I see my fellow young people wake up in the morning and they go outside there to look to just, let's say, if we get outside here, you can find the young men. They're selling shoes, they are doing business, some of them, they go to the let's say, they use the mkokotenis to fetch water and just get money. So also that one makes me encouraged that I see even me, maybe I can start something. But also maybe for me, I can say maybe this fear. Yeah, because you're seeing people starting and you're like, maybe even me can start. Maybe I can wake up in the morning and maybe do the same thing they are doing, maybe fetch water like them, or even do something that I can do to help me get money. Because sometimes it's not about, you're not thinking of such big money. You're thinking of, maybe I can get in a month, maybe you can get some money and save. Because you're not thinking of money to put a very big business. You're thinking of money to start. Yeah.
So you get encouragement from what the other people are doing to make money.
Yeah.
From the encouragement you get when they do other things, are you able to remove the fear and be encouraged that if somebody is able to to carry water in a mkokoteni and make money, I can also do something?
Yeah.
And you talked of loving cooking, and you're talking of something small. Do you feel like you are able to step out and make money from something that you alone can make up?
Yeah, for me, I think I can do it. Yeah, so yeah, the encouragement is there, because when you see young people waking up in the morning, they do it, and you're also looking at yourself and you're like, even me can do it. You try to remove that fear.
How are you working on removing the fear? Because I hear now you have the fear. Yes, you have ideas on how you can make money, but you have the fear. When you think through and based on how you know yourself, how can you work through the fear so that you eliminate the fear?
Maybe by just getting outside and trying something, which I have not tried, but I feel like right now I can just do it myself.
So do you have ideas of something small that you can start with?
Something small, maybe if I get around friends and maybe you can start maybe a business of selling fruits.
I personally, what I feel you need to do, and probably what you need to think of dealing with you first before you get out to friends. That would be best. That you start with yourself, the individual, before going out to now draw in friends. Yes.
Okay, for me, by saying that, I was like, you know, when you are together, you do it good. Okay, it's not that we are doing it once. Like maybe you can say when you get outside here, you will see people. Maybe they have their own mkokoteni or they can carry food selling. So you can say, I have my own, my friend have his own, and the other one has his own. So we just work together as we do it. So that encourages me, because sometimes when you do these things alone, you may reach somewhere you feel you're tired and you just like, I can just go back home.
But then that begs the other question. What makes you think that your friends will want to do the same thing with you? Okay, because you can have an idea, but the same idea is not your friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, it's a very good thing, because okay, for me, I don't think they will be the same. They will disagree, because I feel also they need that money, and they are looking for a job. But okay, it's also not so much a good idea when you tell them to do the same thing. They can also disagree, but for me, I feel like if we sit together, all of us, we can just come with the idea. Yeah, but I will take that idea of me going first, trying myself, because it feels like when they see you doing it, they can also feel like if so and so did it, they can also try. It's not a must they start what you did, but they can start something else.
So as I hear you now, what I'm getting from you is that you have come to a point where you now feel you can step out and do something to generate money other than waiting for employment.
Yeah.
Okay. So this, whatever you are thinking of doing, you initially talked of not having capital and all these other things. Where will you get this capital?
It's not easy, but for me, I feel maybe you can go back to parents and try to convince them. Yes, but also I can try around people I know, because also sometimes it's good to just talk with the people around and see what they can help you with. Yeah.
And one of the things that I also know about business is that you also need to look at the market. So even as you talk of now that you have this brilliant idea of what you can do, a project to generate money, you would think of first doing what is called a market survey. You know what you want to engage in, look at how the market is, identify your place, so that you don't just go into it when you are not prepared. When you have not even prepared the ground, so you need to do the groundwork first. Yes. So you do the groundwork, you set up, you know, I want to do this, I want to do the other. I have seen a lot of issues about business plan and the like. I don't know if as you did your course, you did the issue, how you were taught a business plans.
We were taught that.
So you can borrow that and look at what you are taught, bring it to reality, and use it as you want to start what you want. Yes. Any question you have so far before we proceed?
For now, no questions.
Okay, so we had also talked about goals, goal setting. And I was telling you that as we come closer to the end, we'll talk about goal setting. I don't know, when you were telling me about, you told me about 2 goals. One was about farming. That was the first one. The second one you talked about was about setting up a place to feed the less fortunate, the homeless, the street children, and the like. That was the second. But one of the things that happens when we are setting goals, we need to look at several issues. And we need to ask ourselves, as I set this goal, you don't set a goal today and then you don't carry it to the end. So there's what is called sustainability. You set a goal that you can sustain. Okay? And you also come out and measure with this goal. As I move forward, the things I'm putting down, can they match? Can I measure up and ensure that I achieve this goal? So you set up a goal and you are focusing on the end result. So that as you move every day, you are aiming the end. You are aiming to succeed. So you want to set a goal that you can sustain, so that it is not a goal you've just dreamt and said, I want to be, for example, you can't just decide, wake up and say, I want to build a helicopter. You understand?
Yeah, very true.
Yes. So that's why I'm talking of a goal that you can sustain. Because when you think of a helicopter, you're looking at what you need, the many things that you need to be able to put up that helicopter. So really it's not realistic. Yes. So we have to sit and talk about goal setting. Yes. So that there are 2 things that I've picked from you. Actually not 2, I think 2 that stand out for me. Working on your fears. Okay. You need to work on the fears you have, because it is the fear that has held you from stepping out to even start up something that you can get money from. Now you work on your fear, so that because fear is what discourages you. Everything you see, you feel discouraged. You realize that from the people you work with, the friends you're talking about, they have good things they can tell you about their businesses that they do, the projects they have. They can tell you a lot of good things. So when you're talking to them, pick also the positives. When they tell you they failed, they picked and moved on at some point. So listen also to the positive that has sustained them, because they have not dropped off, they've not stopped. Yeah. So when you listen, pick the positive and the negative, and work on where they failed, work on it so that you succeed. That's okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
So another thing about goals. We want to achieve our goal. When you set a goal, you want to achieve. You want to go to the very end and achieve it. So that's why I'm talking about it. You have to. It has to be something that can sustain you to the very end. Something when you measure up, when you compare and look at it, you're moving with it. And every day you can look at it and say, yeah, I've moved from step 1 to step 2, and I'm moving towards achieving the goal. And then, of course, like I gave you the example about the helicopter, it is realistic. And then you also put time. You are saying, I want to start, for example, you're talking about you loving cooking. So you are talking of, I want to set up a kiosk, for example, that will be selling simple things, chapati and tea. Okay. So when you put up that, you're looking at within what duration of time will I have set up the place. Okay. So that will help you, and you'll work towards getting to achieve it. Okay. Yes. So when you think through those ones, I want to give you an assignment that you go and write for me your goals, so that when we next meet, those goals, just for based on what we have talked about, then you'll come with the goals, then we'll walk through. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay, baby.
Do you have any question?
No question.
Okay.
Just want to thank you for listening to me. It's difficult to find people who are ready to listen to us young people here, because nowadays people are very busy. They don't have time to sit down and listen to anyone listening to us.
Feel free anytime. Call me when you can, when you feel you have something to talk about, call me. But we can meet again next week.
Yeah, you can meet.
Same time?
Same time, but when I'm busy, I will just tell you early.
Even me, when I'm not able, if it's not possible within my schedule, as we've agreed, I will tell you. Thank you so much. It's been great having you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I will always call when I want to speak to someone.
Okay.